and we can start with Edward.
Oh, great. So Robert, I think I'm gonna start off with this question. Yeah, sorry guys. I didn't expect I was gonna go first. So we know that you have Invincible in comic form. We have it in animated series now. Did you want to, and then I even hear that you're gonna have a live action coming up eventually. And how is your process to make sure that this story still stays fresh for the new and the old fans when they're coming in?
Yeah, I mean, well, when it comes to this animated series that's on Amazon, we're working very hard to adapt the story in a way that is true to the comics, but also to expand certain events, rearrange things, change the order, to keep people guessing. So there will be events from the comic book series that happen way sooner than you expect, way later than you expect. You'll be expecting a certain thing to happen so that we can get to another thing later, and that thing that's coming later just happens. And so there will still be a sense of surprise along the way. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, we're trying to stay true to the comics, but that sense of anything can happen is, I think, essential to Invincible, and we're very much keeping that intact.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Thank you.
Tony?
Yes, Robert, what do you like best about playing in the superhero sandbox?
Well, I think as a writer, it's really great to be writing in a world where interesting things can happen at any point, at any time. And what I mean by that is you can have a dialogue sequence where two people are talking, and you can have a monster break through the wall in the middle of that conversation, and it is completely believable in that world and totally fits. And so it empowers you as a writer to just do anything and keep things moving at any point. The thing that I strive the most for is to make my stories as interesting as possible and as exciting as possible. And when you don't have that superhero element where a building can blow up and then you kind of have to figure out why later, that's it. Just really I think supercharges like every story that you do.
Okay, thank you.
Eamon?
So maybe just for fans that aren't familiar with the comics, it's clear that there's a ton of characters that riff on classic Marvel and DC heroes. When you were writing the original story, like, how did you make sure that Invincible and Mark Grayson essentially like stand out from sort of typical costumed Crusaders that we've seen before?
Yeah, I mean, I think I leaned on Cory Walker, to make them as visually different as possible. And having him on board for the show as lead character design was able to kind of keep that present in the animated series. But I think that Invincible celebrates everything that's great about superheroes and also kind of subverts what you expect from superhero stories. And there is an essential element of analogs when you do superhero stories. So you have a character that may feel like a Superman, so that you can make your audience expect a Superman-like story and then do something completely different. I think that's a really well-worn trope in superhero storytelling that we've been able to play with. But there's a lot of new elements that we bring into the superhero genre, and a lot of different kinds of superheroes that we're able to introduce in Invincible that aren't really very similar at all. So we're trying to have a nice mix.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Therese?
Hello. So when I'm looking at Invincible, and I'm looking at the cast list, I see a lot of familiar faces from The Walking Dead, but I also see actors like Walton Goggins and like Mahershala Ali and Jonathan Groff. How did you compile this crazy list of people? And I can't imagine it was all auditions. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I will say no one auditioned. We worked very closely with Linda Lemontaine, our casting director, and she was able to just say, I think we can get this person. I think we can get this person. And these lists that she would bring in were just amazing. And we'd be like, what is this really possible? And so we would have a conversation with people sometimes just to try to entice them. It was very much all the actors were more auditioning us than we were auditioning them. I wouldn't presume to have, oh, Sandra Oh, prove to me that you can play Debbie. Like that's not really going to happen. I had a very long conversation with her trying to convince her that this crazy superhero world was worth her time. And so I think, by approaching things in that way, maybe it was a little bit more enticing for the actors to just, kind of, be invited to join us as opposed to, trying to audition for us. But no, I mean, it was a great process, and I really, can't believe that we ended up with the cast that we ended up with, and it's really just I feel like I'm going to wake up and it was all a dream at some point. Like it just seems too unbelievable.
Great, thank you.
And Ed?
Yeah, I'm curious, in watching the show with the violence in the show, and I'm not saying violence in a bad way, the action, the violence, it's very visceral. And for your storytelling, I'm wondering how important is that to have that violence feel so real?
Yeah, it's absolutely essential to making Invincible what it is. I think that most superhero stories don't really portray that violence as realistic. It can be exciting and it can be energetic and it can be entertaining, but it's not that level of brutality that exists in real world violence is usually stripped out. By trying to keep it as intact as possible in Invincible, we're trying to show the weight of this world and the drama that comes from two superpowered beings doing whatever they can to try and hurt each other. There's a lot of collateral damage that comes from that, and there's a lot of drama that comes from that collateral damage. Invincible is a world where, when a building collapses in a city, that building is full of people, and all of those people die, and people mourn those people, and the city is distraught over the fact that this happened, and that's something that we don't shy away from. I think it's something that I think makes us unique and will help us stand apart from our other counterparts in film and television. And it's really something that's important to us to show. We don't celebrate the violence. There is violence that is very present, but we're really trying to show the consequences of it in a very real way.
Thank you.
Najir?
Yeah. So first, I just want to say, thank you, Robert, for being a vital part of getting people back into the comic book stores after the crazy 2020. All of the small business and the small comic book businesses truly appreciate everything you're doing. And with this coming out now,
Awesome, man.
more and more people are going to be getting back into it. But I wanted to talk about the first notable change I've seen, and that's the decision to change Amber. Kind of what's the thought process behind changing that character, and can we expect any other significant changes going forward without being too spoilery, of course?
Yeah. I mean, I think we changed Amber's race, and I think we also expanded that character greatly. Invincible was a comic book series that was started in 2003. And it was created by two white guys I was from Kentucky. Cory is from New Mexico, and diversity was not something that was at the forefront of our minds back then. And I think that Invincible is a very diverse comic that has a wide range of different kind of people represented, but I think that it's something that we recognized we could do better when it came time to do the animated series now. And so we solidified Mark's race as Korean, and had these other characters that came in. Shrinking Ray is a character that was changed from male to female because we recognized that we didn't have enough female characters. Debbie's role is significantly expanded. Amber's role is significantly expanded. And I think that our characters are, our story is much richer for it. And it's a more well-rounded experience. And I think that, representation matters, and we're all just trying to do our part to make sure that when you consume a piece of entertainment, you are seeing a representation of the world that exists around us. And sadly, that's something that, wasn't really done in comics for the better part of the last century.
Yeah.
So it's great to be a part of, doing things a little bit differently. And I think Amber's character is a really big part of that. And having Zazie Beetz play her, and have her like injecting life into this character and doing all the different things that we did with her has been a really great experience, and we're really happy to have done it.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Oh, okay, so I could go again.
Who knows?
Sorry, we're out of time, guys. Sorry.
Paul likes to make me laugh, so maybe he's going to
there
give me
we
a
go.
double.
Sorry.
I was gonna try and sneak one or two more in.
Okay. And
All
you,
good.
I was like, oh, he's rewarding me for going last twice.